Hello to everyone tuning in. Drop your city/country in the chat right now. I want to see where everyone is watching from. And since you're already here, stay, comment, and now we get into it. My phone rang the moment I took my second sip of coffee. The mug was still hot enough to sting my tongue. I glanced at the caller ID. Eric, my boss. Strange. He never called me directly. If he ever needed me, he typed 2 cold lines in Slack, or gave an awkward head nod when we crossed paths near the espresso machine. Maggie, he said as soon as I picked up. His tone was sharp. Zero warmth. I need to tell you personally. We're restructuring departments and your role is being removed. Effective immediately. I stared forward, lips parted. What? I know this is difficult. HR will email everything you need. All your access has already been deactivated. If you think there's anything you need from the server, let me know today. That was it. No warning. No explanation. Not even a lazy thank you for nearly 8 years of grinding myself into the floor for that agency. What I had no clue about in that exact second was this. That phone call wasn't the end of my job. It was the opening to the end of his luck. They didn't just let me go. They deleted my existence. And hey, if you're still watching long enough to hear this, then you're the small percentage who doesn't treat me like I'm irrelevant like he did. 97% of people watch without subscribing. I'm still fighting just to hit 10,000 subs. So hit that revenge on office politics button. Because bosses like Eric don't deserve to walk away clean. Before we dive any deeper, comment your city, your country. Anyway, I stared at the half-destroyed croissant on the table and the chaotic hum of the cafe faded. Eric kept talking about final payments and paperwork, but the words blurred. I just nodded like he could somehow see the motion through the phone. Then I hung up. My fingers felt like ice. I shoved my phone into my purse, stood up, and walked out, left the coffee sitting there untouched. Outside, the city smashed into me, car horns, someone yelling across the street, a siren in the distance, but all of it sounded like I was underwater. The strangest part? I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't feel anything except that crushing, heavy silence. That morning was my 34th birthday. Ben had made waffles from scratch, burnt them, of course, stuck a candle in one, and joked how I demanded perfection from everyone except him. We laughed. I kissed him. I felt safe. That was 6 hours before the call. I drove home in a daze, not even sure which street I took. When I parked in our driveway, I waited for that suffocating feeling in my chest to go away. It didn't. I unlocked the front door. Charlie launched at me like I'd been gone a year. Tail thrashing, claws scraping the hardwood. Hey, baby, you're back early? Ben called from the kitchen. The smell of garlic and butter filled the air. He peeked out, smiling, towel in hand. Then I said it. I got fired. He stopped moving. The towel hung from his hand. His eyebrows pulled together. What? They cut my roll. Today. Eric called me. He walked closer, the towel forgotten in his fingers. Are you serious? Just like that. Just like that. We sat. The chair screeched across the floor too loud. Eric had been slowly pushing me out for months, quietly handing big pitches to junior designers, removing me from meetings I should have led, acting like I was a leftover. Ben stared at me like he was trying to figure out how this could make sense. You're the best designer they have. Didn't matter. Eric decided I was disposable. You want a drink? Want to lie down? I think. I'm still in shock, I said. He squeezed my hand. This might be the moment. You've talked about freelancing forever. I talked because I didn't think I'd actually be forced to. But maybe this is the shove. The pasta timer beeped. Life kept moving. Dinner still needed to be made. The dog still needed to go out. Dishes still needed to be washed. But I didn't stand. I sat there thinking, this isn't the ending. It's the opening scene. The next morning I sat in the same chair. Sunlight streaked across the kitchen floor like nothing had changed, except everything had. Ben had already taken Charlie out. The leash jingled when they left. I didn't speak. My coffee sat untouched. My career was never flashy or loud, but it was mine. Every client win. Every miracle pitch pulled together 48 hours before a launch. Every branding turnaround that kept the agency afloat. And instead of respect or recognition, I got silenced. Then my laptop dinged. Email. From Maya, one of the juniors I used to mentor. Subject, you need to see this. Attached a PDF. I opened it. It was my entire rebrand design. The one I got removed from right before I was pushed out. Same layout. Same color choices. Same spacing rules. Except now, Eric's name was stamped as the lead designer. And worse, he had watered everything down. Flattened the logo. Removed the mobile alt version I fought to keep. Made it cheaper. Maya's message was short. Didn't know they were giving him full credit. You should know. I stared at the screen, jaw locked. Heat climbed up my neck. So that's why he froze me out. He didn't just want my seat. He wanted my work. The door opened. Charlie ran in first. Ben followed. You okay? I turned my laptop toward him. Look. He leaned in, eyes skimming the file. His expression hardened. You've got to be joking. Nope. So this is the new client? The big rebrand? Yeah. The one I pulled 3 all-nighters for. Ben pushed up from the couch and began to pace. You have to call him. You can't let him walk away with this. And tell him what? I said. That I caught him stealing my work after he fired me like trash? He'll shrug it off. He'll call it a team effort or say I handed him the files. He's already framed the story. I closed my laptop with a soft snap. No point giving him the satisfaction of a phone call. Ben stopped and looked at me. So, what? Do you just let him keep it? No, I watched my mind work through possibilities. I'll let him think I'll do nothing. Then I'll make him regret underestimating me. A crooked smile slipped across his face. That's the woman I married. That night I slept like someone who had finally decided to act. Morning came early and quiet. I slipped out of bed without waking Ben, made coffee, cleared the kitchen table, and set up my laptop and a notebook. Ideas flowed. Names, a brand voice, service tiers, a short list of real clients who'd actually thank me at 2 a.m., not the inflated names Eric liked to parade. By the time Ben wandered in with bedhead and boxers, I'd filled 2 pages. What's all this? He asked, peering at the messy script. I'm starting my own studio, I said. Like now, he squinted. Now. No safety net, no second guessing. I wasn't going to beg for my old job. I'd build something they couldn't erase. Ben handed me his coffee, expression shifting from amused to steady. I'm proud. But you know most people still think of you as Maggie from Westbridge. Then I'll make them meet Maggie, I said. Over the next few days I did the work people confuse with bravery. The quiet, tedious grind. I combed through old contacts, resurrected dusty email threads, and sent plain, professional messages. I framed my exit not as grievance, but as a new beginning, selective, quality-driven branding under my own name. Most replied with polite noise. A few surprised me. I had no idea you were behind our Helix rollout, one client wrote. That's still our most complimented campaign. Another asked if I was open to freelance. Those notes felt like oxygen. Then Riley Webb messaged. A local founder with a fast-growing wellness startup. We'd spoken once at a mixer. She wanted a rebrand and wanted to meet. We chose a noisy downtown cafe. The lighting was terrible, but it didn't matter. Riley arrived in a blazer and jeans, business casual with a clear purpose. You were recommended, she said over the clatter. Everyone says you make brands feel like the company behind them. I explained my process. Interviews, digging for truth, building identities that last. She leaned forward. This is exactly the energy I want. By the time we left, we hadn't just said a follow-up. We'd sketched the beginning of a partnership. Stepping into the sunlight felt like stepping into possibility. I fumbled for my phone and called Jenna Morales, my closest ally at Westbridge, the quiet, principled person who never played politics. Maggie, everything okay? Her voice was a careful whisper. I could hear office hum and distant typing. I need help. I told her the short version. I think Eric lifted my work, repackaged it, sold it, and pretended he built the whole thing. Jenna hesitated. If they find out I helped, I could lose my job. You won't, I said harder than I meant. We'll be careful. She inhaled, then said, I'll see what I can pull without setting off alarms. Give me a few days. 2 nights later at midnight my inbox glowed. Subject line, You didn't get this from me. 5 attachments. I opened them with a sick twist in my stomach. Internal invoices showing premium work billed while cheaper deliverables were sent to clients. Email threads with Eric instructing a junior to dumb down my designs so they could upsell upgrades later. Version histories with my name on the originals and his on the finals. Every late night, every creative risk I'd taken had been funneled into his hustle. Ben came into the kitchen, blinking sleep from his eyes. Still up? I shoved the laptop toward him. He scrolled and went very still. This is a gold mine, he said. You can bury him. That was the plan. I reached out to Dana Lowe, a business reporter I'd met at a mixer months earlier, and sent a short, firm message. Agency misconduct, stolen work, proof attached. She replied in 15 minutes. Yes, call me. We spoke until the city quieted. I laid out everything Jenna had sent. Files, timestamps, emails. Dana asked the kinds of questions reporters ask when a story smells true. By Friday, the piece was live. Inside Westbridge Creative, designer exposes stolen work and client deception. My name wasn't in the headline, but my words were. The evidence was out in the light. The reaction moved faster than I expected. Clients I'd quietly helped reached out. Old colleagues sent supportive notes. Westbridge went into damage control. Eric's smug certainty began to crack. More than anything, I felt vindicated, not because his career might suffer, but because the truth was finally mine again. I didn't set out to ruin anyone for the sport of it. I wanted justice. For clients paying for one thing and getting another. For my labor turned into someone else's trophy. And I wanted to prove something to myself, that when they tried to erase me, I could reappear on my own terms. If you liked watching that unfold, hit like and subscribe. Let's make sure people like Eric learn that silence doesn't mean you've surrendered. The internet moved faster than anyone at Westbridge expected. Twitter threads, LinkedIn think pieces, even a small news station ran a segment. They tried to spin it corporate PR, misunderstandings, internal evaluations. None of it landed. By Monday, 3 major clients had put their contracts on pause. By Wednesday, 2 officially pulled out. And Eric suddenly vanished. No calls, no smug Slack messages. Nothing. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop glowing, watching it unfold like a slow-motion pileup. Ben poured himself coffee, grinning. He's done. I didn't smile back. Not yet. He was only just beginning to taste what I lived through. The agency name was trending for all the wrong reasons when my phone lit up. The contact name, why? I hadn't touched that thread since the day he blindsided me. I let it ring twice. I answered. Hey, Maggie, he said, upbeat in a way that sounded manufactured. I thought we should talk clear the air. I leaned back in my chair. That's what we're calling it now. He stammered something about the article, about media spin, about sitting down in person to fix things. I'm not interested in fixing anything. Suddenly he softened his tone. You were one of our best. If I'd known how you felt, I would have handled things differently. Maybe consultant role? Flexible hours? Something high level. A seat at the same table he threw me out of. You fired me with no notice, I said. Then scrubbed my name off work I'd built. Now that the ship is sinking, you want me back. Maggie, I didn't erase anything. It was restructuring. No, Eric. It was convenient theft. You took the people who made you look good and erased them. He went quiet. Then, look, the agency needed wins. I had to deliver. This is how the business works. Yeah, I said, which is why I kept everything. Emails, timestamps, billing logs. They tell a different story. He exhaled, defeated. Dragging us through the mud. Is that who you want to be? You don't get to define me. I ended the call mid-sentence. When the line went silent, it didn't feel like closure. It felt like locking a door that should have been locked years ago. Ben stepped into the room and didn't ask a single question. He could read my face. It was enough. That call wasn't the end. It was confirmation. Eric was sweating. Good. Westbridge social channels disappeared for a week. Job postings vanished. Contractors publicly announced they were leaving. Clients issued reevaluation statements, corporate code for, we don't want the stink. Meanwhile, my inbox blew up. Not spam, real opportunities. A wellness brand in Austin. A finance app in Seattle. And the big one, a Chicago tech company prepping for Series B. They wanted the designer who refused to stay quiet. I signed the NDAs, drafted the contracts, got to work. I texted Jenna. Me. You still at Westbridge? Jenna, not anymore. Quit last week. Me, want to work with me? Jenna, hell yes. When do we start? Then Kyle joined, developer. Then Sam, copywriter. We built a system from zero. No org charts. No fake titles. Actual credit attached to actual work. By month 1, we delivered our first major pitch. Client loved it. Said no agency had ever captured their voice that precisely. Word spread. We scaled without trying. Then the invite hit my inbox. Keynote speaker, Women in Business Conference, St. Paul. Topic, entrepreneurship, integrity, rebuilding after loss. I said yes. Ben told me to wear the blue blazer. Said I looked like someone people would bet on. The room was full. Founders, freelancers, execs, students, reporters. When it was my turn, I stepped up to the podium, notes in hand, but never looked down. I was fired on my birthday, I started. No warning. 1 minute I was the top designer. The next, I was locked out of every file I ever created. The room shifted. I learned 2 things. 1, people will use you as long as it benefits them. 2, if you don't claim your work, someone else will. I talked about rebuilding. About clients who only learned my name once I walked away. About Jenna and choosing equity over ego. And that was the beginning, not the end. I didn't end up on that stage because someone pushed me out of a job. I walked away on my own terms, and I refused to shut up about what happened. And the applause? It didn't sound polite at all. It sounded like impact. When I stepped off the platform, people actually formed a line. Cards, introductions, requests to connect. Not pity, respect. I wasn't clawing my way back. I was ascending. 2 days later, the email landed. Subject, strategic collaboration, West Burbridge Creative. I stared at it 3 separate times, assuming spam. It wasn't. The board wanted to sit down with me. They were reimagining their model and wanted my studio's creative direction on their majors. No mention of the article. No mention of the meltdown. No mention of Eric. Ben skimmed it and raised an eyebrow. Looks like they're bleeding harder than they pretended. So I went in. Hair sleek, navy blazer, simple black heels. Like steel on the outside, even though my pulse felt like caffeine in my veins. The receptionist walked me to the same chrome-cold glass box I remembered from years ago. 2 familiar board members. A new one in an overpressed gray suit. Heavy watch. Overcompensating energy. They stood when I walked in. I didn't. Ms. Rodas, the older woman, said with a diplomatic smile. Thank you for being here. I gave a single nod. Let's begin. They launched their speech. Jargon stitched into buzzwords. All glitter, no spine. And then the door opened. Eric. Same discount-looking suit. Same fake posture. But when his eyes hit mine, he broke, just a micro flinch, but I saw it. He took the seat across from me without a single syllable. I didn't speak until they stopped talking. I'm ending this, I said. All heads turned. I'm not considering a partnership with West Burbridge. Not now. Not ever. Gray's suit attempted diplomacy. Maggie, I don't think you fully grasp what we're. Oh, I understand. You want to borrow my credibility to repair your image. Eric finally spoke, weakly. This isn't about emotion. This is just business. I locked onto him. That's rich. Coming from the guy who gutted my work, sold it as his coded mediocrity into juniors to upsell later, and built his promotion on fraud. Silence. One woman blinked rapidly, shaken. Is that true? She asked. I slid a folder across the table. Time-stamped versions, invoices, emails, receipts. Eric twitched like he wanted to block it, but he didn't. I came here for one reason, I said. To say this to your faces. If you ever want to work with people who actually create, you're going to have to relearn basic humanity. Gray suit leaned back, no smirk left. The older woman finally spoke again. Maggie, I truly apologize for not seeing it sooner. I'm not here for apologies. I stood, packed my things, pushed my chair in quietly, like the room belonged to me. That man looked up at last, stunned, like he genuinely believed I would bend. Too late. I left. In the parking garage, my phone buzzed. Eric, I really do want to apologize. Maybe we can both move forward. Move forward? Now. After you set fire to everything that cost me years to build? I locked the screen. No reply. He doesn't get closure. I drove home. Opened the door to our spare room, now our war office, whiteboards exploding with notes, mock-ups everywhere, coffee cups surviving on fumes. Ben and Charlie were on the floor building storyboard frames. How'd it go? Ben asked. Exactly the way it was always going to. He smiled and wrapped his arms around me. That sounds about right. I stepped back and looked around. 3 new clients onboarding. Major campaign launching in a week. Leads popping faster than we could hire. Not luck. Discipline. Not revenge. Momentum. Ben gestured at the screen. You ready to ship? I reviewed the final cuts. Bold copy. Sharp visuals. No nonsense. I love it, I said. He hit send. Campaign live. We were officially in motion. And I realized I never needed their approval. I never needed to be invited to their table. I built my own table. Now they want a seat. Too bad. So tell me, if it were you, would you have stayed silent or would you have ignited it? Comment your answer. I read every single one. And if this story fueled you, subscribe. We are building a space where people like Eric don't get to rewrite history anymore.